Demmy Darkness.
I watched out the window, sunny skies, children playing down the street, cars driving by, people walking their dogs. Not me. I was sitting here, the white walls, white floors, white ceilings, fluorescent lights illuminating the shiny white tile floor. I sat in my bed pondering what my life could have been. The bright sun shone through my window. I woke up sluggishly, walking towards the bathroom to get ready for work. The boring long days in the office dragged on forever. Long curly red hair staring back at me, putting makeup on my emerald green eyes. I got into the car and off to work I went. The day went by pretty quick as I had a ton of paperwork to fill out. I was putting away my stuff when my phone rang. It was my fiance, Rick, asking if I was on my way home. Because he was taking me out to dinner, I told him I'd be home soon and hung up. A little girl was staring at me. She had an angry face, dirt on her face, and her clothes were torn. Her hair was dirty, and I couldn't make out the color of her eyes. It was dark outside. I watched at her staring at me. She looked familiar, but I couldn't place where I've seen her before. The car behind me beeped. I realized I was sitting at a stop sign for quite some time, staring back at her. As I drove away, she faded from my view. We pulled into the restaurant. It was classy. Rick was a classy guy with a good amount of money. He was a writer. He wrote nonfiction stories about history. We walked in and followed the host as he seated us both in a quiet booth in the corner. Candles were lit on the table, and classical music played at a comfortable volume as we looked at our menus. The waitress walked up and gave us a complimentary bottle of wine. I couldn't get that girl out of my mind. She seemed so out of place, angry, lost. Rick asked if I decided on what I would like on the menu. I didn't realize I was blanking out for the past 10 minutes. We both ordered the filet mignon and sauteed onion potatoes. They brought us out a loaf of warm bread and butter pats as we talked about how our days went. He was excited because he had just had his most recent book published and was scheduled to do a book signing over the weekend out of town. I was happy for him. He would be gone for the weekend. The next morning, I woke up to him packing his suitcase. He smiled at me and gave me a kiss before grabbing his case and walking out the front door. I went back to sleep. It was my day off and too early in the morning for me. I heard a strange sound in the hall. I peeked out of the door to see the curtains blowing in the wind. I don't remember leaving the windows open. It was autumn and a bit chilly outside. I went downstairs and made some coffee. I sat there staring out into the beautiful colored scenery outside. The trees were red, orange, and yellow. Squirrels were climbing the trees, wind blowing leaves to the ground. My heart stopped when I saw someone coming out of the woods. It was the young girl. She looked so angry, her pale face, dirty hair, and dark circles under her eyes. I got up and was on my way to go talk to her when she vanished. What the hell is going on? Have I lost my mind? I couldn't get her out of my mind. How did she know where I lived? What did she want to tell me? I had to take my mind off of her, so I settled on the sofa and put Netflix on. I watched a few episodes of my favorite TV shows and was about to forget about the girl when I heard a noise upstairs. I jumped up and ran up the stairs, but it was only my cat. The rest of the week was pretty uneventful. Rick won an award for best-selling author. We went out and celebrated. He asked me what was wrong, but I couldn't tell him. He would think I was completely out of my mind. We went to the movies after dinner. As we sat watching the movie, I saw the little girl on the movie screen. Now I knew I was losing my mind. I watched as the child was beaten by her alcoholic father and her mother cowered in the corner crying. He yelled at the woman to shut up. He then threw a bowl of cereal on the table and told the child to eat. She took her hands and shoved the food into her mouth, as if she were starving. Her clothes were torn and dirty. Her long hair was straggled. Her eyes were empty. He then told her to go to bed. Rick was shaking my shoulder and asking me if I was okay. I looked at him confused, then looked at the movie screen only to realize it was all in my imagination. However, I recognized the child and the parents. It was me. That was my childhood I had forgotten about when the state took me away and put me through therapy. I ran out of the theater, Rick running after me, asking where I was going. I jumped in the car and drove off before he could catch up. I drove to the place where I grew up. I got out of the car and walked up to the front door. I kept a knife in my purse for protection ever since I was young. An old man answered the door, stinking of old booze, smoking a cigarette. "What do you want?" he asked me, looking annoyed. "Do you remember me?" I asked. "No, why should I? Who the hell are you, and what are you doing here in the middle of the night?" I then told him my name. He froze, mouth gaping. All of the color drained from his face. I then pulled out my knife, stabbing him over and over again, laughing and screaming, "You can't hurt me anymore." A police car came rushing up to the front of the house. I didn't stop. Blood was running down my arms. I just kept stabbing him and laughing. I watched out of the window. Sunny skies, children playing down the street, cars driving by, people walking their dogs. Not me. I was sitting here. The white walls, white floors, white ceilings, fluorescent lights illuminating the shiny white tile floor. I sat in my bed, pondering what my life could have been. The door opened to my room. A nurse placed a dinner plate on my table. She then left me alone. I picked up the plastic knife and broke it until it had a sharp edge. As I slit my wrists, blood ran down my arms. My door opened. I heard a scream. Then everything went blurry and faded away.